here, and I wanted to. We just had Jason on before.
Oh my gosh!
Kick off the
Wow,
meeting. So, yeah, you know,
guys, you should have had Jason on second, right? So save the best for last, and yeah, we'll see how we can do it.
Exactly.
We did save the best for last, Matt.
I'm not sure about that.
We're always saving the best for last. So Matt, one of the things that we kind of talked about is, you know, we were just talking about before we kind of pivoted to you was the kind of the market that we're seeing right now, the low inventory market.
Yeah.
You know, our closings are about flat or up in some areas over last year. And when I'm talking to agents from both inside and outside of our market centers, I'm kind of hearing a tale of two markets, right? There are some agents out there that are crushing it right now, and then there's others that still aren't really seeing that activity.
Sure.
What are some of the strategies that you're hearing through your coaches that you know, all the coaches that you kind of work with, and all the agents that you're working with across the country, that agents are using right now to find that listing inventory to make sure that deals are staying together?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. So, Dan, if I was going to ask you the markets that the agents within your organization serve, right, what would you say? What are the markets? What are all the markets that you serve?
Well, I mean, we're between the two market centers, we're looking at Fairfield County, Connecticut. It's a suburban market in New York, single families, condos, rentals, you know, but it's all people. You know, it's people who have to sell their homes. It's people who need to buy their homes.
Okay. So the question I would ask for agents, first of all, the reason why I asked that question is, what can we do? Why are some agents successful? Why are some others not successful? First, what I would say is our limiting beliefs.
Okay.
Okay. And there's market conditions that we don't control, right? We have no control over what happens in the market. Would everybody agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we don't have control over that, right? And so there's some limiting beliefs that start to occur, and some of those limiting beliefs are based upon a lack of information or a lack of evidence, right? Because here's the thing: if I were to give you a model, right, to think about this through, I got the opportunity to work with Gary and Jay on writing the Mounts Models course for leadership. And one of the models that Gary shared that he wrote in 1995, we kind of retitled the business breakthrough model. And fundamentally what it says is that the way you think leads to the way that you act. The way that you act leads to the habits that you form. The habits that you form develop your key relationships. And if you add all those things together, it creates your ceiling of achievement. The way you think, the way you act, the way you behave, the habits that you form, your key relationships, all added together create your ceiling of achievement. So how do you break through to a new ceiling of achievement?
Change the way you think.
That's it. So when we start and we say, why are some agents succeeding? Why are some other agents succeeding? I'm sorry if you don't like the answer. And yet fundamentally, the truth always, when you ask that question in life, is that people think differently than you do.
I love that.
Right? And so how do you think like the people that are succeeding? How do you break through? Right? Is the question. Well, think about limiting beliefs, right? Let's think about two of them that all of us, or the vast majority of us on this call, have experienced. Riding a bike or swimming. How did you learn how to do it?
Just did it. You had to get on a bike and you put on training wheels and then you took them off at some point.
So somebody either pushed you down a hill on a bike or pushed you into a pool if your life was like me. Apparently I have a pretty aggressive life or something. I don't know, right? Or, right, you took your water wings off, or you took the training wheels off and you did it. And you fell and you scraped your knee and you did it again and you did it again and you did it again and you learned. Primarily and fundamentally, the way you break through a limiting belief is you take action. So one way that you think differently is you act differently and you respond differently based on those actions. Some people say, well, yeah, that's so simple. Yeah, just do what I'm not doing. Okay, well, I'm not doing it. Here's another way that we break through limiting beliefs. We gather evidence, right? Yep. Because one of two things happens when something happens in the market, in our lives, in the condition, right? The first thing that we do, right, is we push back when we hear something different. The second thing we do is we search for evidence. The third thing we do when we get evidence that proves us to be wrong is we accept that to be true for other people, just not for ourselves. And the last thing that we do is we accept to be true for ourselves. Two things that are fundamental examples of where that's happening right now, right, are number one, we had a pandemic. And number two, we have a social equality issue in our country. Period. And both of those things are causing people to believe and change the way they think and understand. For some people, they're saying it's true for other people. It's not true for me. And many people are waking up every day realizing this is true for them. Mm-hmm. More people every day, which is a positive thing coming from a very negative thing. Now, I just wanted to use the reality of what we're experiencing to show you how you think, right? How do I change that in my business? How I change in my business, I gather evidence. So Dan, the original question was, what are the counties that you serve? What are the areas that you serve? Dan, do you know, or does anybody on this call know last month how many total units were closed in all of the agents, in all of the areas, that all of you serve?
I can tell you what we have year to date, which is 2,865.
Okay. And that's in all of the areas that all of you serve? Yes. Okay. So your market is going to close about 6,000 plus units this year.
Yeah, okay. Probably more than that. Yeah.
Right. So how many units so far this year has your market center closed?
We have those numbers right here as well.
Okay. So what's the number year to date?
Year to date, we have, sorry, I'm looking for it. Where is it?
By the way, if you're an agent on this call going, this isn't my conversation, this is Dan's conversation, I don't need to focus. Here's the question for you while Dan's finding that. How many units have you closed year to date?
We have 170 in the Ridgefield Market Center, and we have about 430 in the Stanford Market Center.
Okay, so year to date, we closed about 600 units, and the market closed 2,895.
Yep.
So one way to look at that is there's 2,200 units we didn't close.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people don't look at the evidence of the opportunity at a time when their limiting belief or their story is that the market is challenging or hard. It's changing your perspective to say, wait a second, no matter how challenging the market is, no matter how hard it is there more business to do? What's the answer?
Always.
Well, not just always. In your market, you just gave the exact answer.
Mm-hmm.
There's at least 2,200 more transactions that have been done. This is now some of you are sitting there going, well, that might be true for other people. By the way, that's step 3 of thinking. That's how our brains work. It's crazy. And yet it's how we work. You might be sitting there going, well, I've got other evidence. Well, that's the evidence. We just looked at it. So the point is, we know that people are doing the business. How could we do it? One of the first things that top producers do, Dan, is they recognize reality. They seek reality.
Yeah.
What's actually happening, and are people doing additional business? Then what they start to ask is, what is happening in the market that I need to know to cause me to make changes in the way that I operate such that I can be the one doing additional business, right? And they do that through the fourth personal perspective, which is make being learning based the foundation of your action plan. They go into education. They master the market in the moment. They study the numbers as an expert of the real estate market and communication, and they start researching the people that are taking listings, the people that are selling listings. What are they doing? Now, does anybody on this call know the listing success rate in your market? Meaning the listings that are taken, how many of them sell?
Historically, it's about a third, about 35%.
Of the listings that are taken don't sell. Is that what you're saying?
35% do sell. Sorry.
Okay. So the listings that get taken, only 35% sell?
Yep, that's about the average in Fairfield County.
Wow. So 65% of listings that are taken don't
on their first contract. That's the first contract. So some of them will go expired and they get relisted and sell, but it's 35% on the first contract.
Okay, if I'm an agent, I sit there and go, wait a second, we've got a pricing problem. And Dan, you asked me the question, what do top producers think, right? Well, what they realize is they study the market and go, okay, what's happening traditionally? That's a pricing problem.
Love that.
Let's say it differently. What's the number one reason an expired listing doesn't sell?
Price.
Okay, we got a pricing problem. So the problem becomes a skill set, right? Anytime that in our business we identify a problem, what we've got to look at is what's the skill set that I need to develop? So that's a CMA opportunity. That's a pricing opportunity. That's a studying the market opportunity. By the way, what I'm finding, Dan, across the country is the highest markets, 80% of the listings are successful, right? In the very highest markets, I've never found a market where it's 100%. Here's why that's interesting. Is there any limiting belief or story in your market? Maybe it's just everywhere else in the country that I coach, right? Is there any limiting belief in your market that every listing's selling with multiple offers in 10 seconds and it's crazy and we don't have enough inventory and it's wild?
Yeah.
Nobody's saying that in Connecticut, are they? You don't hear any of that.
Nobody's saying that right now. Not at all. Yeah.
So we're kind of joking and people are saying that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And yet, what did we just find out from the question I asked about those two numbers of listings taken versus listings sold?
Yep. That 2/3 of them aren't selling.
My head hurts. Does everybody see the limiting beliefs that exist? The story that we tell ourselves about the business is 90% of the reason why we don't do the business we desire. Just in pulling two statistics that I didn't research in advance, we know that some of the limiting beliefs that or stories we're perpetuating are wholly untrue where you are. So what do we do with that?
We have to change the story.
And that's, okay, you just uncovered how do top producers do business that other people don't.
I love that.
That's it. That's it. They understand the reality of what's occurring in the market, right? And they act on being the real estate expert of choice. They act on the understanding of numbers. What's happening in their appointments is, let's just say, and I'm not saying your number is inaccurate. Let's say we're 100% accurate. Only 35% of listings sell the first time. A top producer goes in a listing appointment and has that dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have to have the price reduction conversation or call 2 weeks later because they have that in their expectation in their listing appointment to show what's not selling. What's so interesting, Dan, I'll share one other thing with you, is in the city of Atlanta, because I get these stats all the time. I've coached it for several years, right? 39% of listings fail to close at all. That's happened. That number has been on average for the last several years. If I call many agents in Atlanta and I ask them the question, right, what's happened in the market? They're going, oh my God, there's not enough inventory. It's flying off the shelves. It's the craziest thing. Everything's multiple offers. Everything. Is that 100% true? Does this make sense, agents? Are you learning anything? Are you hearing anything where you go, maybe I should think about that? Or maybe I should dig deeper into that. Maybe I should jump on my MLS stat page, right? Everybody has a different reports page and stat page for what their MLS is, right? And take a look into that. Does this make sense?
Sounds like an opportunity for a class next week. How many people would be interested in knowing those numbers?
Yeah, and the other thing is, right, that's probably, if your SMART plan not only had a local neighborhood nurture, it also taught the people in your database what actually was going on, you'd have more opportunities to list property. So what successful people in any endeavor in life do that non-successful people or people that don't achieve the level of success they desire don't do is they dig into the reality of what's actually occurring. They don't buy into the story, the limiting beliefs, or the noise that exists in their business or the market, and they drive to the truth of what's going on. Then what they do is they become the person that's kind of like, they actually seem to be the one that's wrong or confused. and they learn the scripts and dialogues to help people see things the way they see it as a true expert and make the best decisions for them. And then as they're proven right over and over and over again in partnering with people and doing the work and doing the research, they become the real estate agent of choice in that market, and they scale and grow $100 million plus businesses.
I love
Right?
that.
That's the process, right, of getting there. That's the growth trajectory that we need to be on to move forward. So what else could we plug into? Where else could we confront reality? Where else could we explore where we are with our mindset? What else can we talk about?
I mean, I think the conversation we just had is the conversation that people need to be having with themselves, right? And how can I dig into my own business in the same way, right? What are the other stories that I'm telling myself? What are the stories I'm telling myself around where I find business or how I find business? What are the stories I'm telling around myself around how I conduct my business? Like in the activities that I do on a daily basis. I think I think facing reality is probably the most important thing that any agent could probably do right now. And I think you just proved that by just walking us through some very simple, a very simple reality check with actual data. And I will say that Matt and I did not pre-discuss this, so I had no idea he was going to ask me for any of those numbers, and I was really happy I was able to pull them, but that I had them in front of me. But because that is the reality of the market,
So what I'd love to see here is people take themselves off mute or ask questions, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
What are the biggest problems that you're facing in your business that we could work on solving today?
Right now, anybody, you can open up your unmute yourself or throw it in the chat box. Anybody?
No problems? Cool. Right. I love that. Everybody's good. No issues, no challenges, 100% good. Everybody's exceeding their goals. This is awesome. Great job, Dan. You guys are nailing it over there.
We're killing it over here, I guess.
I'll speak out for the agents, Matt. I mean, just based on the conversation we just had before, I mean, one issue for sure is listings taken. Need to develop more listings. I mean, we've got a massive influx of New Yorkers moving to Connecticut now, out of the city, and we're just lacking inventory. So the opportunity there with the pent up demand is listings taken for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things to think about there, Stephen. First of all, and it's a great point, right? With the focus on listings. Number one, who's door knocking?
Let's see a raise of hands.
Yeah, can we raise some hands? Yeah. I know some of you guys are doing it.
All right. So if you're door knocking with a face mask on and with gloves, and you're taking 3 steps back to be 6 feet away, right? You're going to be doing something that nobody else is doing. Do it safely if you're comfortable, right? And yet that conversation, which is I have, the Tony DeCello built his business on this very simple thing where he would take buyer agency agreements with redacted information. You guys have probably seen this before. And he would door knock and say, hey, I have 3 pre-qualified buyers that are looking to buy a home at the price point that your home would sell for, right? And in this area, and they do not have a home to purchase. I was wondering if you or someone else that is interested in selling their home.
How many people have buyers right now that you're having trouble finding houses for?
So one thing, right? One thing is if you door knock, right? Okay, so let's just say that for health reasons, right? You say, I'm not doing that, right? I'm not going to do that, or neighborhoods won't allow me to do that, or I'm not going to take that on. Great. So what campaign are you running?
Yep.
Right? What campaign are you running through Command that does the same thing in what farm?
Are you utilizing direct mail? Are you using Facebook? Are you using...
My wife and I just bought a new house, right? And, it's interesting here in Austin. And I just wanted to open my mailbox for the first time, right? I haven't opened my mailbox in weeks, right? So I opened it, and of course it's full to like the very top. And I pulled the mail out and I'm looking, and guess how many direct mail pieces I had from real estate agents in there? And I've lived here for, 6 days. 7. I had 7 in there. And you know what? I threw 6 away. And one was about land that overlooks the lake a little bit over there. And my wife and I have talked about that in the future and what that could look like and a ranch and all these other things. And it was cool, right? It had the price on it. It was really right. And they said for the first time, and it had the right things on it. And I'm 33 years old. So I'm a millennial. I'm actually a millennial. Some people think that younger than me, they just keep moving the term. I'm a millennial, right? 33 years old. Here I am with a mailer and I kept it. It's downstairs. I could go grab it for you. So here's the point. They work. Right? So are we running campaigns? Okay, let's imagine we're not running campaigns. What smart plans do you have running to your database right now on command? That says the same thing, that you've got pre-qualified buyers. If you know somebody in these communities, they'd like to buy a home for this amount of money. Let me ask you this question. Who's going to builders and developers? This is always my favorite question. If you don't have enough inventory, why aren't you building it yourself?
Love that. There's lots of land available.
Why don't you go build it?
There are lots of land lots or old expired land lots all over the place.
By the way, if you're a monkey mindset or your limiting beliefs are going, well, I can't do that or I haven't done it, why shouldn't you do that? Why should someone else who's not a real estate expert be the person that goes and does that? Dan just said there's lots of land. It's like, well, if you know where the land is and you have the buyers and there's an inventory issue and people are moving out of Manhattan to be able to, I was born and raised on the East Coast, right? And spent the last 10 years in Philadelphia. So in order to be in Manhattan, you make a little bit of money normally, right? Just by being there, right? You kind of have to. So, and my wife's sister lives in Brooklyn, so I'm pretty familiar with your area. So the point is they're moving out of the city into your area. Well, they would buy a spot lot. They'd buy a spec. So are you talking to builders and developers? Are you identifying land? Are you building real estate? Right? What about flipping properties to be the property for the client?
I love that.
Right? I can't find the right property. Well, can you find the wrong property in an area that could be the right property and then work with someone, right? You're going to hear noise in the background right now, hammering and all kinds of stuff. My wife doesn't think that this is the right property. It's just in the right place. That's why there's construction going on. And I've spent my day in 7 different rooms, including the closet, on calls. Can you find the wrong property in the right place and work with somebody who's an interior designer or GC to make it the right property? Would you think that everything's going to change and you can think the same way and still win the same way? That's confusing. You got to think differently. That's it. That's the answer, right? Because the other answer is just wait for the right property to come on the market. And then we're going to be one of those people with 15 cars in line, seeing if we can be the individual to be able to win the bidding war. You're going to have some of that. The answer is, how do we change having that be all the time? What else could we do? What else could we learn? This makes sense? So those are just some ways I think about that. I mean, door knocking, that actually calling and lead generating for 4 hours a day with the simple script. I've got 4 qualified buyers for homes in your area, right? Do you have a geographic farm that you're attacking, that you're talking to? Right? Do you have are you asking your buyers, where do you want to buy the home? And they go, this area. And then you're getting all the numbers for that farm and making all the calls? And calling them and saying, I have a buyer for your home. Do you or anybody else in your neighborhood wish to sell your property? Are you taking that approach? What about out-of-market owners? Do you have that list from your title company or from your attorney? This is a great time for out-of-market owners to liquidate a property. They're surprised by the equity that they have because the market they believe was going to cause them to lose value, and it stayed pretty steady and strong. And a lot of out-of-market owners want to sell. Do you have the out-of-market list for your area?
Love that. It's easy to pull.
Okay. Or does that cover some of the ideas of what we could take on?
How many people took an idea away that they can run with right now? Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt. Any last words you want to leave us with?
I think the biggest thing is that, if you look in the shift book, right, there's this idea of creative financing, right? And a lot of individuals or a lot of agents that I've experienced, I'm not saying anybody on this call would, I'm just saying a lot of people that I've experienced have looked at things like that and said, yeah, that was written in 2008. That's outdated. What we're talking about right now is thinking differently or creative thinking, right? Just like creative financing was utilized in 2008, 2009 to close transactions and get deals done. You may think creatively to identify inventory. Here's the most important thing to end with. The inventory problem is not going to be resolved. So unless you decide to build it, I promise someone will. How are you going to solve the inventory problem without more inventory? You actually have to make more houses. And you've watched Gary at Family Reunion and Mega Camp. He shows every year, well, here's the new builds going down and down and down, right? Well, we've seen that for the last 7 years. And then we sit here and go, there's an inventory problem. Yes, there is. There's been for 7 years. We've known that. Now we're facing it because you have people in apartments paying $4,000 a month in Manhattan saying, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to go buy a home for that. And I don't have to be in my office anymore. I can telecommute. I can Zoom in. I'm not going to be in person. So I can go live where I desire to live in Connecticut. Why not you? Is what I like to end with. Why not you as why not you as a company? Why not you as an organization? Why not you to be the person that thinks differently? Why not you be the person that partners with a GC or an interior designer or a builder or developer and changes that, right? And then the simple things, if you don't desire to do any of those things, why not actually call markets or use campaigns or reach out to markets or your database targeting areas that you wish that your clients wish to live in, and actually call with, I have a client, you have a house, who wants to sell something, right? Play matchmaker for that. You become known as the person that can find that property when it's not listed yet. By the way, you're going to get both sides.
Love it. Love it.
That's it. I'm having a lot. I just love the conversation real estate. Thank you for the opportunity. I hope and trust that something made sense that we discussed over the last 25 minutes or so. And if there's anything I can help you with in the future, my email is matthew.teter, my first name dot my last name at kw.com, right? Or if you want to send me an email and say that this was the craziest conversation to waste your 25 minutes, you can do that as well.
Absolutely not. Thank you so much, Matt. It's always an awesome pleasure getting to speak with you. And thank you for the insights. I think right now in a shifting market, reality is the number one thing that you can recognize, and thinking differently is the only way to work through it. So thank you for that so much.
Thanks, Matt. Really appreciate it. So we're going to see this. We're hugging you now, T-shirt, man. We're going to send you one.
I love it.
Cool.
I love it. Send it over. I'll wear it. It's my favorite color, black. That's perfect. I love it. I'll wear it. That's always the uniform. I love wearing it, and I'll put it on when you send it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks. All right, so we are going to wrap things up.
Yeah,
Steve,
why don't we do that? Dan,
we got some door prize winners. You got to be here to win it. So what do you have over there, Steve?
Yeah, so we've got some great prizes. Bear with me for 1 second. So based on the attendance on the rally today, those of you that were here, our first winner, we have a really nice, you guys know how much I love this, right? We got this gorgeous license plate cover border. Isn't that fancy? That'll look so great on your Beamer, your Mercedes. That goes to Stephen Pratt. Stephen, see me and come get your license plate cover. Cool. Dan, what do you got?
Hey, thanks.
Awesome. Congrats. Dan, what do you got?
All right, so we are also giving away a license plate holder for we're giving away the same prizes today. So Steve's gonna hold them up for you. And we have our first winner, the lucky little lady, Mrs. Barbara Asif.
Woohoo, Barbara. That's going to look nice on your car.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
All right, what's our next
so
prize,
moving on. Wow, I know you guys will like this. This is a real coveted gift. We got the KW wine tote, right? Going for a picnic, going to one of your clients, bring them a nice housewarming gift. KW gift tote. First one goes to, oh, why does my thing keep closing on me? Patty Scott. Patty Scott, come get your wine tote.
All right. And we have a newer agent to our office, is the big winner of the wine tote today, Miss Rachel Jones. Is Rachel still on the call? Where are you at, Rachel?
Oh my goodness.
There she is. All right. Yeah, you can come
Congrats.
into the office. We'll have that for you at the front desk.
All right, so the
What do
next
we got next? What are we giving away next?
really hot item. Can you see the really cool Tiffany Sterling Silver KW keyring? That goes to Nancy Manby. Nancy, this will look very styling on you with your stuff. Very nice, Nancy.
And the big winner in Ridgefield is the extremely musical and wonderful Tiger McNeil. Where's Tiger? We got Tiger on here still? Did he check out already? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Did he check out already?
Maybe. It's okay.
All right, Tiger, fine. We'll still give it to you.
Okay, wow. And we got, how lucky are we? We got one more wine tote given away to Hyacinth Natarajan. Hi, come get your wine tote from me. Okay, babe? Thanks.
All right, and one last wine tote from the Ridgefield Market Center. But before we do, so here's we just wanted to, before we wrap up. So we weren't able to get to a couple things today that we wanted to get to. So tune into tomorrow's 4:30 p.m. call. Rick is going to wrap up his conversation around the market stats and how Keller Williams is matching up with our competition. So right here on the same Zoom for 4:30 tomorrow afternoon, we're going to wrap up our market outlook and how we're lining up with our competition. All right. And then next week, we're going to put together a class for next week on kind of two subjects. So we're going to have two classes. The first is a tech update. There's been a lot of new features and really cool stuff that I was actually reading through today that have been added to Command. Things that you can send to your database. Really cool designs, activities you can do, like activity books for children, things like that. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. So we're going to have a class on that next week. We're also going to have an agent panel next week on how the market has affected our goals and what some of our top agents are doing to realign their goals for the year. So join us next week for that. We're gonna have to talk to our panelists and find a time to do that. But we'll be putting that on the calendar for next week as well.
Yeah.
Rick wanted me to note that there's no 4:30 call today. All right, so join us for our 9 a.m. Crush It call tomorrow and our 4:30 call tomorrow for those market updates. And our final winner of a wonderful wine tote goes to the amazing and the beautiful Dawn Grabover.
All right, Donnie.
There she is. All right, Donnie.
Hey,
You got
hey,
your wine, so you got to come into the office and see me to get it, though. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
One more thing, guys. One thing that we didn't get to today, it's very important. As you see from Gary Keller's letter to everybody at Keller Williams, we're going to be having the ALCs are discussing, and we are as a company, both companies are going to talk about race and social equality. So we're going to put that on the schedule for next week. So please look for that, and please be on and contribute.
Yes, you should have gotten an email from in both market centers. Both market centers are looking for to nominate an ambassador to a regional task force that's being put together right now to kind of address these things. So if you haven't seen that email, please check your inbox and please let us know if you'd be interested in that. Okay, it's a great opportunity to kind of step up into a leadership role, to meet some of the other agents and to really kind of make a difference in both the company as well as in the industry locally. All right.
Cool. I think we're out.
We're done.
We're done.
How are you guys feeling today? Feeling good? Got some waves, got some thumbs up. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys. See you
Have
soon.
a wonderful day. Let's go sell some houses.